Welcome, everybody, to Flights of Fandom. In particular, an episode, the first episode of a series that we are calling The Back Alley Charmers, which deals with one of our favorite properties to be fans of, Dishonored. Guys, as always, I am Zach, the GM, otherwise known as Great Smino. My pronouns are he, him, and I am delighted to say that I will be playing your outsider for this rendition of a Forged in the Dark simplified game. So we also have the privilege of not only having a stellar cast, but also having or using for the rules this week a game that was developed by one of our cast members, kind of subtitled In the Dark, but I'm sure he'll be able to speak more to it as we kind of go around the table here. So as with every opening, we're going to go ahead and do our intros, starting with the person on the leftmost side of the screen and moving counterclockwise. Caitlin, why don't you start us off?
I am Caitlin Starling. My pronouns are she, her. You may have seen me before on the Dragon Age flight that we did back in November. This time I am playing Doc Harlow, who definitely has an MD and is absolutely a trained natural philosopher and will be our gang's leech. You can find me on Twitter at that's SEE_Starling. I've written books. Some of them have a very similar vibe to Dishonored, completely accidentally, definitely. You can find them wherever books are sold. The Luminous Dead and Yellow Jessamine. And soon, The Death of Jane Lawrence, which now has a very creepy cover that I think you'll all like.
Ooh.
Excellent. And moving down our overlay, Marcy, why don't you give us your introduction?
Hey everyone, it's me, Marcy. Still me. Still also going by Experimental Madness most places around the internet, except on Twitter, where you can maybe find me under the name Marciful. It depends. I'm super psyched to be playing Grissell Wick, our group's Whisper, otherwise known, I think, in the Dishonored world as a witch. Just don't tell the overseers that I said that. And yeah, my pronouns may be she, hers, but Grissell is way too unknowable, and gender is far beyond them, her. But they and she will work just fine.
Excellent. Moving to the right on the overlay, once again going counterclockwise as the clock invariably ticks down. Morgan, tell us about yourself and who you're playing.
Hi, I'm Morgan Azinger. I'm new to Flights of Fandom. I'm super excited to be here with you guys. You can find me intermittently on Twitter as AzingerM. I was also, to go way back in the day, I was Lady Smaragdina on Tumblr from the old days of the Dishonored fandom. And I will be playing Antha Blackwell, who is our group's spider. She might have been a member of the Oracular Order in a previous life, and she doesn't like to talk about how that might have changed. My pronouns are she, her, and Antha's are as well.
Are we talking about old fandom stuff? Because you might have found me in the old Dishonored fandom as Sarandrana, aka that chick who wrote Callista Kernel all the time.
Awesome. Love it. Oh, excellent. When you watch a Flight of Fandom, just know that everybody that is playing in the cast is most certainly fans. And what was it? We got all the Tumblr credentials to prove it. And we
got the receipts.
We got the receipts. And the final stop on our countdown, David, tell us about yourself, who you're playing, and about this thing that we're doing.
Yeah, hey folks, David here, he, him. I'm a graphic designer and illustrator, and most relevant right at this very moment, game designer. If you want to check out my game stuff, go on over to dbb-8.itch.io, where you can see some games that I've released at some point in the future, including the one that we are playing right now, which I'm going to say is in, I don't know, I don't think we're quite in beta at this point, looking at the sheets. I'm going to say we're in alpha here. But I've developed for use on this stream specifically, and hopefully into the broader world, a version of the venerable Blades in the Dark system. Great game, amazing system, love it. I wanted a version that was simpler, more narrative focused, and kind of let us get right to the stuff that we love to do on stream. So I made that. And that is what we all have in front of us now, and we will be using to play in the world of Dishonored. So I will today be playing Maxwell Shamwick, aka Wick, a slide who is, I don't know, y'all, he's a real piece of shit. So get ready for that.
Love it, love it, love it, love it. So let me go ahead with all of our introductions out of the way. Let me put us in a good, interesting mood here. Let's try Dark Dance, why don't we? When the Traitor Leviathan sank off the shore of the flooded district, it pulled a prodigious cache of whale carcasses and oil down with it to the bottom of Wrenhaven River. Engineers from the Academy of Natural Philosophy managed to remove the major parts of the hulk from the river and most of its bounty, but a good part of that wealth was lost to the river crust and the fagfish. Until now. Last night, a rumor circulated that the cache, hundreds of pounds of whalebone and oil, has found its way into the hands of a powerful figure in Dunwall. In the right hands, these remains can be turned into enough bone charms to turn a hefty profit on the black market, or to buy a fantastic amount of influence in the right circles. The year is 1836. In the month of clans. Only just last year, the rat plague descended upon Dunwall like a miasma. The blockade ensuing past. The Lord Protector of Empress Jessamine Caldwin has left the island of Grissell to tour the rest of the empire to seek a cure for this horrific disease. It's an uncertain time. The death count piles up. But for the right, unscrupulous sorts, this plague presents an opportunity. As we wind through the streets of Dunwall, our vision alights on an inconspicuous shop. I believe it was in the Distillery District, yes?
Did we settle on where it actually is? I'll go with the Distillery District. I'm down for that.
All right.
It's not bound by any space or time physics, apparently.
Yeah, what was it? This is a liminal space, clearly.
Mm-hmm.
So, we wind through the Distillery District, through past piles of bodies mounting up, past City Watch members brutalizing citizens who dare to try to leave the city with the plague in tow. There are those of whom you see off to the sides chugging a number of seething or fulminating liquid from glass vials. And not too far from this scene, we wind through an inconspicuous shop. And we meet the first member of our crew in the same order in which we introduced ourselves. Caitlin, what does our audience see as the door opens to Back Alley Charms?
So out in the front room of the shop, there's a lovely array of very legal things available to buy, none of which Doc Harlow had any hand in. She is on a break, though. She is hanging out in the front of the shop, and she is a woman of average height, but unaverage build. She is very muscled. She has short, curling blonde hair that's cropped close to her skull. She has a wolfhound tattoo over her temple, and her nose has been broken several times. And And oddly enough, she appears to be wearing a modified gown from the Academy of Natural Philosophy. That is perhaps not in the best of states, but is in a very used state. There's quite a few stains on it, some singe marks. She's wearing it very proudly, and is probably smoking.
Excellent. And as you are kind of working about in the shop, you are remembering something that Jillian, your friend, told you. That the estate district is chafing at...
I think we've switched.
Yeah,
Oh,
Jillian's
sorry.
the answer.
Pardon me. Sorry. Let me go ahead and switch over to my sheets. But actually, rather than do that, I think that this gives us another opportunity to meet a new member of the crew. Grissell, where are you in this shop?
Oh, I think Grissell is in the workshop where you can normally find her. She's got a rather messy desk in the back, full of bones and feathers and rat carcasses just strewn about all over the place with a couple of tools. And in front of them, her hands kind of like wrist deep in viscera. She's whistling to herself. You see a very, like, not super short, but average height woman, rather lithe, fairly on the skinnier side. She's got messy, very, very short black hair, like she cut it herself, so some of it is like all spiked up in the back, going in a couple of different like directions, little tufts here and there. She's got like a black coal eyeliner just smeared all over the place on her eyes. Maybe a little bit of lipstick, or is it blood? You hope it's lipstick. You really, really do. She's wearing a dirty trousers, a dirty blouse. Everything about this woman is pretty grungy and like half put together, but she seems comfortable. She's got a belt with a bunch of king feather sparrow feathers all over the place. She is a bit of a mess, but she's happy. And yeah, like I said, she's whistling to herself, a very creepy, dissonant melody as she's doing her work. You might hear every now and then there's a little rune in front of her that's hissing and spitting as she keeps working in the gore of this rat carcass she found, as if it has something to do with the bone in front of her.
Excellent. Antha, where are you in this shop as the camera swirls around finding our next member of the crew?
I think Antha is also taking a smoke break, but it doesn't really look like she's actually on break when she does this. I think she's got a cigarette in one hand and a newspaper in the other, and is just kind of taking notes on what tomfoolery is going on in the city today. Antha is very tall, and she has dark cropped hair. She's got really pale eyes. She's got a really bony face that's going to look really attractive when she hits 50, but for now just looks kind of horsey. And she looks like she hasn't actually gotten a good night's sleep in at least a week, but that's also just kind of how everyone looks in Dunwall these days. And she's dressed pretty much like a servant. She's dressed to be as unobtrusive as possible. She just looks tired. Yeah.
Antha, as if to kind of punctuate this need to kind of find out what the hubbub in the city is as things are progressing, the entire shop shakes with the noise of a familiar noise, one of which you have grown increasingly and uncomfortably accustomed throughout the time of plague that you have kind of experienced thus far.
Attention. By order of Empress Jessamine Caldwin and High Overseer Thaddeus Campbell, this year's Fugue Feast is canceled. The Empress hereby decrees that all celebrations be held indoors this year. Citizens found in violation of this decree will be held in detention by the City Watch.
And it is that moment when that sound of the speakers mounting every corner of the Distillery District, when Wick, you happen to kind of glance up from your work. What are you doing?
So I think we have, if we've not established this already, I may have been distracted by chat, sorry. There is a small counter in the shop, for people to check out and for whoever's sort of manning the shop at whatever given moment to kind of sit behind. So we see behind this small counter towards the sort of backside wall a young man in his early to mid 20s, something like that. Dark hair, sort of swept back over his head, and these like very piercing, sort of mischievous ice blue eyes, just sort of casually leaning on the counter. He is very well dressed. He is dressed in sort of the an outfit of impeccable taste in Dunwall high society. But if you know your Dunwall fashion, you can see that it's a couple of seasons out of date. There are little details here and there that are from just a couple of seasons ago, but still incredibly fashionable. And we see him sort of grumpily glance up at the incredibly loud announcement with annoyance.
Yeah, you know for a fact that this outfit would probably be a high crime at some well-to-do in the estate district, but really the biggest crime to you right now is the fact that your peace of mind and poise is being interrupted by this loudspeaker. That said, before we kind of segue into more of the action, I'd like you guys to tell me more about your base. I want each one of you to go ahead and tell me one fact and one thing about the base that is either charming or noisome to you, and we're going to go in reverse order. So, Wick, once again, what is what's the thing that kind of strikes you about the shop as this announcement reverberates?
In terms of, do you want a detailed description, or do you want something from Wick's perspective specifically?
Wick's perspective.
I think what Wick notices specifically is like when this loudspeaker comes on, things rattle at that initial, like, I don't even know what you call it, like klaxon, like and so there are all of these little bits of things in jars that are on the shelves along the walls of the shop, which all sort of start to rattle around and clatter in their little glass jars and vials. And Wick basically thinks all of these little bits of this is the sort of legal stuff that we can sell. They are, I think, maybe marketed as remedies, and are basically widely acknowledged to be garbage by both practitioners of the true occult arts and people who are more natural, philosophically minded. But a sort of unsuspecting, gullible, somewhat superstitious customer might come in and want one of these remedies for something or another. They're not real enough to catch the attention of the overseers, and Wick thinks that they are all absolute garbage, and is actually hoping that one of them does in fact clatter to the floor because it would make the day a little more interesting for him.
And in keeping, I need to make a fortune roll. So that's a critical. I'm rolling hot, guys. So you see a jar of powdered wolf's hound teeth rattle and get closer and closer to the edge of the counter on which you've placed a numerous kind of occult instruments and recipes and items, and it clatters and closer to the edge and then stops as the klaxon ends, and you just force yourself, sigh of disappointment.
So close. Maybe next time.
Antha, tell me something about the shop.
I think what drives Antha crazy about the shop is that it is a mess, and Grissell's things are bleeding into Doc's things, and there's just rat viscera. Like, what if it gets in the food? We're in a plague. This cannot be sanitary. I believe, Grissell, I've told you repeatedly that if you're going to dissect things, maybe you shouldn't do them where the customers can see them.
This does not register.
This is an argument that we've had many times, and I know that you have not heard any of it ever. So that's what Antha is kind of noticing. She wishes she was allowed to clean, but she's been told many times to keep her hands off anything that might vibrate when the right music is played. Yeah.
Excellent. And Grissell, having been thus accosted by Antha, tell me something about the shop.
I think in contrast, the thing that Grissell really likes about the shop is the roof. It's kind of like run down just a little bit. It's not quite in ruins like many of the other districts in Dunwall, but she's allowed to sleep up there, which is a massive improvement, and no one really stops her. So she likes having her freedom and the ability to like go where she wants to go, and just sort of just be in her natural state, barring any rain, when she'll normally like just sleep in on the workshop floor rather than the comfortable quarters that we do have, but she refuses to use. In fact, I think you may have kicked her out of it because it's just as messy as the workshop, and it's gross to have all that stuff where you sleep. But she'd rather be on the floor or up on the roof anyway.
Excellent. I love it.
Time I find you asleep, Grissell, it's sort of in a pile of some sort. Just miscellaneous piles. How can you sleep?
I like to be able to commune with everything that's around me. I find it easier that way. It calms me. She's like, I think one time you like found her, she's like holding like a wolfhound skull like next to her like it's a plushie. She's like, shh, can you hear it?
It's leaving marks on your face from where it pressed in while you were asleep.
Oh, do you have parchment?
You look like you've been bitten.
If there's like parchment around, she'll like slam dunk her face onto it and like make a little mark on it. She'll be like, I can use this later.
Impossible.
Grissell, I think taking a look at Wick, you just know for a fact that he will never appreciate the seeing the moon's true face.
You get to.
Doc, what do you like or dislike about the base?
I like having Grissell nearby because it's just really nice to have someone to do experiments with. Someone who isn't grossed out by all the blood and gore, doesn't flinch away from what needs to be done in order to learn more about the universe. But I do wish we could have expand and have like a barbershop area where I could start taking patients, but no one will let me do that. And I find, I'll accept the argument that it's not really part of our brand, but I do have the skills.
Also, follow-up argument, it's super gross.
If you fail any of the experiments, I can keep the bodies.
That is true. That is very true. And also just, some people need teeth extracted. Have you
I can keep the teeth.
Abscess?
We don't need
Yeah, it's
teeth.
terrible.
Why is everyone always talking about collecting teeth?
Consider, Doc, that last time you said that you had the skills, we don't talk about that last time. I don't want to think about the side effects of that last time.
Learning takes sacrifice.
So
Keep
much.
your teeth to yourself. That's my motto.
Grissell goes into the back room to hide her tooth collection.
This is where I need to go out, play a game of Nancy, and get drunk. None of you understand me. None of you understand me.
Love it. Yeah, so I think that, you guys, to describe for me, like, anybody, what kind of business, like, do you guys typically would you say that in the time of the plague it's picked up immensely? You seem to have a little bit of time to have these interactions. So, like, what's your kind of impression?
I think it has picked up a little bit. People are getting desperate, and I think they're also starting to utilize the more occult wares in the shop that maybe only a few eclectic people wanted, maybe for the novelty, but now it's like, just in case, maybe this could help.
Yeah, at which point, like, I think, at some point, you have a customer in the shop that is, like, very much looking at what appears to be a necklace made from threaded river crust shells that have been broken into pieces that you guys probably know is absolutely garbage. But is
it's left over from some experiments I was doing.
Yeah, exact. Oh yeah, just detritus that you were able to turn into something that, like, a little tchotchke. And in basically this seemingly well-to-do estate district customer comes in looking almost desperately at it, just like, I couldn't help but notice that the bone charms are rather expensive. In the black market, is something like this, does it confer any sort of benefit? I've heard something about the Rivercrest being very hardy.
Oh yes, that one is great for stuff. It's really good. Try it on. You look great. And
almost without waiting for you to say this, she kind of tries it on. Looks in.
That's the look. That's the one. Yes, and that's gonna protect you from all kinds of stuff. Grissell, Antha, are either of you around?
You just see from the back room, just like her grubby little face go, yes.
What does this very good necklace do? It's something very good, right?
Yes, of course it is. She hates lying about this stuff, but the last time she did that, you banned her from the workshop and it caused a massive tantrum. She just
Why don't you tell our esteemed customer here about the exciting features of her new potential purchase?
Grissell puts her hands just lightly on it, and just sort of brushes her fingertips around them, being like, yes, it's imbued with some of the essences of the outer spheres, around which lying about the stuff makes her feel like her teeth hurt. It's just around which there'll be a great healing aura, a miasma of protection, but it must come back into the shop to be recharged from time to time.
So
Doc chimes in
really
from the back and is like, there's also some residue on there that if you lick it, it should help with mild headaches.
You should definitely lick it.
Oh yes, lick it. That'll be fun for
I
us.
have an MD, it's fine, trust me.
Okay.
She's a doctor.
So
I am a doctor. Real doctor.
Now, of course, if you were willing to spend a little more coin, I believe we could see our way clear to getting you something, well, perhaps a bit more special than this piece.
And her eyebrows arch. You have a feeling that as soon as Grissell walked in from the back, that if she had pearls, that she would clutch them. But her interest is very piqued now, and she is beginning to kind of follow your gesture, Wick. And
I could supply a little bit of an extra enchantment for that bonus fee.
And she, I think there's a little grimace, and you hear the sound of a purse jangle with coin. So as you guys are kind of conducting business, you are kind of going about the day-to-day of this shop, but at the same time, there has been some tantalizing information that has come to light. Jillian, I believe Antha, your friend, has been making a note of some seemingly interesting intrigues surrounding, in particular, Empress Kaldwin's inner circle. There's a little bit of rumblings, nothing too distinct, but it has been an interesting kind of diversion on which you can focus. But however, another thing that has come to light, all of you have kind of picking up word and rumor from the street, is you have heard that someone has recovered the cash that was previously believed to be sunk to the bottom of the Wrenhaven River. My questions, if we kind of turn to our score sheet, and guys, audience members who are not privy to this, we're just going to kind of walk you through. I want to know who has asked you to follow up on this rumor. We have a few people that this would be particularly interesting to, but it stands to reason that, like, in the interest of having a kind of like a more player-facing game in the form of Blades in the Dark, it really is up to us the kind of score that you guys want to have. So, in keeping with this philosophy, let's go ahead and talk. Who do you think wants the cash from you? Right now, we have 3 options in the score. A fella named Bundry Rothwild, another person that many of you may be familiar with from the first game, Granny Rags, the City Watch, as always, looking for a new source of whale oil, or Piero Joplin, a well-reported and a well-respected engineer until fairly recently.
Yeah, he got kicked out. It was big news in natural philosophy circles.
Well, when you try to make a door to nowhere, it's a hard sell.
Yeah.
So of these kind of 4 options available to you guys, who do you think wants that cash?
Okay, here's my gut check on this one. I want to say no on City Watch, for starters, because we're not working for the cops, man. I am not sure about Piero, because depending on the timeline of this, if I don't know if we want to get caught up in loyalist nonsense. Granny Rags is fascinating, but I will tell you straight out, Wick does not like her.
What?
Not
She's
care
so
for Granny
nice.
Rags. Upsetting.
So nice to me. For my own gut check, I actually think Rothwild.
Same.
I
Same.
like Rothwild because yeah, it feels like it connects us to some interesting folks, and like it also feels good story-wise.
Absolutely. You heard of this rumor from by way of kind of a whisper network. It filtered on down to the contact that you guys have from the slaughterhouse row, from the butchers, namely a fellow by the name of George, who you try to spend as little time with as possible, no matter how useful the information he provides might be. And so you've learned that the ruthless, no-nonsense leader of the butchers is looking to reward anybody who can recover the cash and bring it back to him in one piece directly to the Rothschild whaling house. He seems to be in a hard-pressed position, and this would be a big feather in his cap. That said, through a little bit of extra legwork, you've also discerned who of the potential figures that now control the cash has recovered it. So who has the cash? And we have another 3 options here. We have Lizzie Stride, the leader of the Dead Eels, who works outside of Draper's Ward. The Abbey of the Everyman, who might be the bane of a number of you, but at the same time would be very interested in recovering a cache of whalebone only to have it ritualistically destroyed. Or Dr. Jack Ramsey, a fellow whaler, or somebody who runs their own kind of whaling business alongside, in competition to Bundry Rothwell.
I feel like I need to abstain because y'all already know I love Lizzie Stride so much.
My gut feel is Lizzie Stride.
I'm on board for that.
Yes.
Either Lizzie or Ramsey for
The
me.
hottest woman in Dunwall.
Yes. So Lizzie is very well known to you guys as the leader of the Dead Eels and somebody who controls much of the smuggling route along Wrenhaven River.
Doc probably knows her from her previous life before she got her MD.
Absolutely. I think that you may have been kind of
I
like...
think we're kind of neutral, but we know each other. We know of each other.
Exactly. You may have been kind of like ships passing in the night, no pun intended. Or you could have just been kind of having same job but different cargoes. So
Different customers too.
different customers as well.
Mostly sold to the academy.
Excellent. Yeah. So you know for a fact that Lizzie has access to this cash. You don't know whether or not it was recovered by her and her crew directly from the bottom of the river, if it was acquired by somebody else and she managed to, let's say, acquire it less than legitimately at the expense of either a few fingers or some bloodshed. But you now know that it is in the possession of Lizzie Stride. So I think in this case, let's have a scene. I believe it's going to be maybe... The question that I have for you is, who is dealing directly with... Are you guys dealing directly with Bundry, or are you taking George's word for everything?
Good question.
Bundry would want to talk to us?
Yeah, that is a good question. I think that you guys are a level 1 crew, so you're fairly low on the totem pole here.
Yeah, I think as long as he has a supply for his employees of elixir, that he probably wouldn't have a reason to talk to us directly.
Yeah, absolutely. I think
And
that
at this point in the plague, I think he probably still has a way to get it.
Excellent. Cool. So let's kind of like see, what does this look like as you guys kind of talk to George? I think at some point, like after you've kind of shooed this customer away, she, by the way, what additional charm does she get upsold by you, Wick, as she leaves the store with the necklace in tow, along with what else?
I mean, I think we managed to actually sell her a small whalebone charm. I don't know exactly what the effects of that would be necessarily. But I would like to imagine that we just sort of clip it onto like a little pendant from that river crust necklace, and she seems happy with that.
And I think that a couple of City Watch members pass by the front door of the shop, through which you can kind of very clearly see through the window. And reflexively, she kind of almost like shrinks in size and stows the charm down her kind of top as she kind of makes her way stealthily away.
Keep that tucked into your shirt.
And she, I think there's a little bit of a kind of like almost like there's a moment in her mind where she decides whether or not she wants to acknowledge you, and quickly makes her way out of the shop.
I know that Antha hasn't said a word to her while she's here, but as she's leaving, Antha just kind of definitely gives her a reassuring nod and just watches her leave the whole time.
Absolutely. And yeah, I think that this is somebody that you probably would not be surprised if Jillian knew some sort of scuttlebutt or rumor about via Lady Boyle.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's, you know, after this kind of scene plays out, you hear the door of your shop open, and in steps George.
Oh no.
Grissell, can you describe George for me?
George is a heavier set man. I think he's probably in his early 40s. Blonde hair, short, still probably wearing his butcher's apron, although I think cleaner version now that he's probably like off duty right now.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a glazed look in his eyes pretty much permanently, thanks to a spell that Grissell cast on him several months ago. She just wanted some whale vertebrae one time, and spell worked. Spell worked real good. Can't get it to stop, actually. Can't figure out how to dispel it at all. Has tried a couple of rituals. His mind is totally gone. He now just sort of does things for the group. He responds well to everybody now in the crew. She's been able to modify it, but she can't get rid of it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think he's come in kind of clutching his butcher's apron in one hand. There's still like a little bit of whale viscera on the shirt that would go underneath the apron, and he's kind of clutching it. And you just hear that kind of very deep timbre from this very large man, just hands like meat hooks. He looks to you and says, Lady Wick, I was wondering if you had a thought about that bit of business. And he's looking around the shop, trying that bit of business about the cash I've spoke you about.
I think while this is happening, I think Antha has very quietly gotten up, and there's a tea kettle on somewhere, and Antha just quietly pours George a mug of tea and just slides it over to them. I think Antha quite likes him and hasn't quite minded as his mind has gone more and more into the sewer over time. But anyway, continue.
Harlow's going to come out from the back room. She has just washed her hands, but she hasn't washed them particularly well. So as she's drying them on a cloth, there's still spatters of blood on her upper arms.
Do we all just have blood on our hands? Just Grissell's just out here with like rat blood all over her palms.
I'm the only one
This might not be
who's
rat blood.
constantly covered in blood, and honestly, it's becoming exhausting.
And as if completely oblivious to any kind of pain or having some sort of dull nerve endings, George takes the cup by the rim rather than by the handle and just idly sips it, but his gaze does not leave Grissell's.
Thank you, George. Yes. Has Grissell already told you guys about the cash? I'm gonna assume that's true.
You might have mentioned it in passing, I think.
There's a
but-
bunch of whale bones. Okay, but like you probably didn't notice it because she always is singing random songs about like there's a bunch of whale bones on the bottom of the sea. There's a bunch of whale bones in the river. And then you're just like, yeah, that's nice. Like, so there's a bunch of whale bones in the river. But the whale bones in the river, like I keep saying, they're there. And we should get them because I'd like a lot of the bones that are there on the bottom of the river.
And listen, maybe this is a wild question. How exactly do you propose that we get down to the bottom of the river to get the whale bones?
Swimming.
I'm not doing that. Have you seen that river?
It is not
Cold.
helpful.
I think at this point,
It's gross enough when it's not full of corpses.
I think it's at this point that George just sorry, Mr. Wick, I'm got to interrupt. The bones are in the possession of Lady Stride. And all of you, this is news
they're not
to
in
you.
the river. They're somewhere way worse that I hate even more. Amazing. Thank you, George.
I don't think Grissell knows who Lizzie Stride is.
I was like, ooh, okay. So that's either a lot of bother or a lot of money.
Will that be
She's also she's checking out George's apron to see if there are any larger bits of viscera that might be useful for her own experiments. She doesn't get to work with whales very often. They don't let her in the whaling houses.
Yeah, 2 6s again. So yeah, you find a nice big chunk.
Cool.
You could probably light a lantern with it for a while.
Nice. I collect that. Just in my bare hands.
Yeah, just and again,
Looking at it.
just living tunnel vision. George is just kind of like looking straight ahead. Still, again, it's almost like somebody. It's like when somebody does a pupillary test in a doctor's office and the pupil is meant to follow the light. It's like, Grissell, you are the light that George is following.
Oh, good God. I think Grissell sort of just turns slightly confused to the rest of you. Well, we could either ask for some of the bones back, or we could always just kill her.
Oh, you want to go kill Lizzie Stride?
Can we not?
Great.
It wouldn't be my recommendation, no.
Great. Real good idea. Very
Can
good.
she
Real
not die?
practical idea.
You know, I'm actually not sure.
Is she not mortal?
Oh, I'm sure she's perfectly capable of dying, but I have to emphasize this very big underline under this one. If she dies by any of our hands, we are dead very, very shortly after.
Concerned about being shot on the way to kill her. She does have a lot of people with a lot of guns who would lay down their lives for her. She really has a great crew. It's very impressive, but
She also does have a lot of people with a lot of guns who would be very happy to see her dead.
There's
we
also
want to
going to
move this
be
conversation to the back room in case
We
the watch comes
should.
by again.
Yes, George, my boy, why don't you come into our parlor?
Okay. And it just
Great,
Oh,
great.
no.
And for
my happy space.
the void's sake, put that teacup down somewhere. Your hands are they're red. All of your fingers, man.
and just follows you.
Harlow flips the lock and the close sign, and then finds a dish to put her bit of whale into.
Excellent. So I am going to say, as George follows through, you guys are going to have several opportunities to get information, basically about this score and about kind of what other kind of complications may arise if you should wish to pursue a particular course of action here. So what I would like to do is I'm going to give each of you an opportunity to kind of ply George for information, and then also to hit the street if you feel like it would be germane as we kind of find more information out. So let's start with George. Who of you wants to kind of see what you can get out of him?
I mean, I immediately just want to know like why he's here and why he thinks this is relevant to us. So, you know, Wick, do we have like seating in the back area?
There's a bunch of like tables and chairs and stools.
Great. So
Yeah, there's a kitchen table that never has any space to eat on it.
Yeah, so you know, Wick will sort of take this this definitely significantly larger man by the shoulder and sort of push him into one of the chairs and take another chair opposite, sort of, you know, sweep out his coattails. Now, George, my boy, why have you come to us talking about all of these whale bones in the possession of the dead eels?
Well, I was listening to the whales singing, and
Right, that.
And-
Good start. Great start.
and they were
Both
just
taking notes.
they
Grisel's
were,
Whale
nodding sagely. Yes.
singing.
Mhm.
Let the
Important.
man speak.
they was just telling me about, you know, the pieces of their brothers they missed, was wanting to see again in the void, in the Black Sea. I asked for more. I sang back at them, and
Oh, could you do a little of that for us? Let's have a reprise.
Grisel's like, no. She like sweeps all of her like runes and her bones like into a drawer so they don't hear it.
Whoa!
Really need to get a Maxwell recorder.
I feel as though I am being lulled into a state of exquisite calm. Thank you, George.
And yeah, so this is kind of the initial query. What in particular would you like to ask for more information? Like, what kind of do you want to know?
So what I am trying to get out of him is there a deal to be made here? Like, has his, is he here at the behest of his employer? What's the business proposition?
Why don't you go ahead and give me, let me go ahead and consult the right sheet as soon as I pick the right one. Yeah, why don't you go ahead and give me a persuade? I would say that this is, you can either command or persuade, whichever you kind of feel like would be.
I'm better at persuade, but I feel like Wick is a bit of a dick to George specifically. So I feel like it's probably more of a command. Like, I probably say something effective. Now, George, tell me, did Rothwild send you? Is this direct from your employer? I'm a businessman. George, my family would, of course, be shocked to hear it, I'm sure, but I assure you I am, at this point, finally, a businessman, and I am interested in business propositions. What business are you proposing, George? And I'll roll.
Yeah, please do.
A command here. So I have one in command. Do I have assistance from anybody on this one?
Yeah, who wants to? Does anybody want to take?
Is anybody else going to back me up here, or
would it help that I'm just in the room?
Or are we doing
George.
this as a fortune roll? Are we not? Are we not in score territory for bigger dice pools?
I think we're not yet in score territory. I will let you get an assist for free. But so in this case, like Grissell, would you be the one assisting in this situation?
Yeah, I mean, would it help that I'm just sort of like looking vaguely encouraging at
Yeah.
George?
I think it's one of those things where like
I've been talking to him, but he has not been looking at me
He never does.
Yeah.
this entire time.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're right here and he's over here.
Definitely one of my worst spells.
So roll 2 dice.
All right. We'll roll 2d6. We'll see how it goes. We're sitting on a 2 and a 3.
Oh.
Ooh.
Nope.
Yeah, I think that you don't necessarily get like a full kind of business sense, but I think you say, I think that you're just going off of, I think you kind of use small words, and at which point you just hear George say, well, Mr. Rothwild seems like he was talking about it very excitedly. This cachet.
I've called it a cache. I've called cache before.
Don't strain yourself, George.
I don't know, but he seems like he really wanted it. I don't know what that's gonna mean for you guys, but the whales told me I should tell you.
What else did the whales say, George?
Well,
I asked
here we
with
go.
genuine curiosity.
Oh, I'm in terrible pain. Please make it stop. Why am I up on this hook?
Oh.
What's that contraption? Oh, it makes such a loud noise. And then it got really bad after that.
The whales know what contraption means.
But George does not know.
I was taking so many notes, whether it's about, she's not sure if she's learning about whales or about George's brain, but either way, it is interesting and perhaps useful in some way.
Wick just sort of, sotto voce to Antha. I don't know what you expected, Antha.
Worth a shot.
So I think that this kind of represents the amount of info you can get from George given that role. Is anybody else hitting the streets to kind of find out what the hell George is talking about?
Antha would, yeah. But I think Antha wants to, and I don't know if we can say that she'd like spend the rest of the day doing this, but she would definitely just kind of try to contact, I know she has a few like people she knows who might work in, I'm blanking on that part of the city. And it's just asking if anyone knows about a cache that Bundry Rothwild is interested in, or if anyone has heard anything about what the Dead Eels are up to lately.
Yeah, and I think that this could probably be I think that this might be a study, as we're kind of conflating that with consort and with kind of survey. So go ahead and give me a study roll. Are you going out alone, or is anybody helping you here?
I'm fine going out alone. No one's.
Harlow would be more interested in tracking down info specifically about Bundry, because if she can like transform this into a way to actually get into one of the whaling houses to do some study, that would be excellent. So that's more her focus.
Super.
Whereas I feel like Antha's
Could
more
we
interested
actually,
in what
like-
the Dead Eels are doing. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love that. So in this case, yeah, let's go ahead and resolve Antha's roll first. Go ahead and give me a study.
So I have 2 ticks in study, so that's 2 dice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. That's a 1 and a 6.
Awesome. So you get a success. So the idea that you find out first and foremost is, and let me ask you, what is your line of questioning here? You are trying to find out more about the Dead Eels in particular, or what else are you trying to find out?
I'm trying to find out if the Dead Eels are moving in any ways that are unusual for them with all their flitting up and down the river, or if anyone has heard of them like reaching out toward business deals. I'm really trying to figure out like if they have anything, are they trying to move it somewhere?
And that is precisely kind of the line of inquiry that bears the most fruit. You do find out that they have, through some means or another, acquired this cache. They are trying to move it. They are courting multiple buyers, first off. And the other thing you know is that if it is any place, it is going to be the place that is most sacred to Lizzie Stride. It is going to be in the hold of her ship. So that is kind of what you find out. So you kind of have the sense that you might want to get in on this deal or get in on this score while the getting's good. Cool. So Doc, as you are, I assume that you're going to Slaughterhouse Row to find out more info.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So tell me how you're gonna how would you like to find out more information here?
So I have probably some contacts still, although I haven't been in contact with them lately in Slaughterhouse Row, just because I used to. The Academy usually had a good line on getting whale parts for study, but not all the academics had the same access. So I probably ran offcuts occasionally.
Mm-hmm.
So I would probably be going to check with an old contact just to see. I want to feel out how much Rothwild wants this. Is it a thing where he would be happy to get it, or is it a thing where he can't sleep at night because he's like, how am I gonna get this away from Lizzie Stride?
Yeah, absolutely. Why don't you give me, I think that this does sound like a study again, or it could be a persuade if you're trying to get into the Academy's good graces.
I don't have anything in study. I only have it in persuade.
Okay, definitely give me a persuade then.
I definitely have an MD.
You definitely, certainly, it's absolutely.
It's okay that I don't have any skills in study.
Well, I
have it in Tinker.
I will
operate.
Oh, thank God, there's something in operate.
Well, I was gonna say,
yes.
You could, if you can kind of postulate another scenario here, you're more than welcome to use another
The only other
skill.
one I can think of is probably prowling, of just going around hangouts, bars in Slaughterhouse Row and listening and soaking up.
If you would like to go where the Academy of Natural Philosophy, kind of those people might hang out, and
It'd
try
be more
to
Slaughterhouse
listen in.
people, I think, than Academy people.
Okay. Yeah, if you want to go.
But I'm sure there are bars in Slaughterhouse Row.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you
probably really gross.
You are more than welcome to roll either prowl or persuade them.
I will do prowl.
Okay.
See, I only have one point in it, so we'll see.
Okay.
4.
Okay, on a 4, I will say that you do end up going to a bar frequented by the butchers. I think that this one is literally just called the Hour of Honor. It may have been kind of a former City Watch bar that was kind of taken over by the butchers after a while, and they kind of got flinged out, and now it is just filled with these very kind of large men drinking lots and lots of old Dunwall whiskey, and some of them just kind of belly aching about their shifts, and some of them are speaking about, you hear them animatedly talking about a person named Abigail in some of their discussions, but more to the point, somebody says, now stow some of that talk, and they begin kind of discussing, the mindset that Bundry's in. Now, with a mixed success on a 4, you are not going to necessarily know as much as like Bundry would be able to tell you. You would only know for certain how desperately Bundry wants this, but you do hear basically one of these large butchers just say to the other, "Yeah, Mr. Rothwild's in a bit of a dander to get that. I tell you, whoever gets that cash, Mr. Rothwild, they're gonna be so rich." And then somebody just says, "Well, why don't we go and we grab it from Lizzie? I mean, they can't be that tough." And it's just like, you know how nobody comes to the whaling house to start a fight? Yeah? Well, don't go onto Lizzie Stride's boat unless you're there to sink it, because there's no other way you're getting off of it. And the other one kind of nods sagely, and you get the sense that, from this mixed success, that Bundry does want this something. How badly, you don't know, but you would be fairly well remunerated.
All I want to know.
Excellent. So, unless anybody has anything else you want to do for gathering information, we might go ahead and proceed to the engagement and the planning role.
First, one last thing is that Grissell would love to get a read. She'd like to consult the entrails for favor on if on just sort of like what are the odds of them being able to kind of get this? Who should they sort of rely on? Can they do a deal with Lizzie Stride? Should they hand it over to Rothwild? She's going to take a hagfish and a king sparrow and cut them open and let their insides mingle as she reads their fortune, essentially.
Excellent. So it sounds like you are needing to make an attune roll. Are you using any special ability of any sort?
Well, right now I only have the one ritual spell, so this is probably going to be a straight attune.
Okay, cool. Give me that roll.
Oh, a 1 and a 6.
Excellent. All right, so you got a success. Okay. So as you consult these entrails, what is the question on your mind?
It's sort of just, it's almost like I'm doing a weird fortune roll here, because it's just kind of like when you read the entrails of animals, you're sort of getting like a read on what's the favor of the outcome that you want. It's like she wants to get a hold of maybe some of this cash. So it's sort of like, what direction are the fates? Is the void kind of pushing them in? Should they work with one side or the other?
Okay. So I'm just changing the music a little bit here. Let me also adjust that so it's not in everybody's ear terribly. So, as you conduct this ritual, anybody who sees this take place, who is not familiar with the magic of the void as you are, would just see a pile of viscera on a table. But as you...
Another one.
It would, if as I'm like casting this though and I'm reading it, I imagine the air around me starts to get cold.
It starts to get cold, and the whale oil lanterns that illuminate the shop begin to flicker. And Wick, that's when you realize something is afoot. And so, as you read the entrails, they seem to arrange themselves in a particular order. The sign and mark of the friend, of someone who, of a fair weather friend, let's say, someone who, if you were to get on the wrong side of, would just as happily kill you as make an ally of you. But at the same time, you also sense that they carry with them a bounty, and you see this in the form of an eye in the center of this larger configuration of viscera. They carry with them a bounty, one that, should it be ripped from their grasp or taken, they may be undermined or otherwise face as much danger as they pose to you. And then it becomes up to you as to, and kind of the sense that you get from this reading is that it is really up to you whether or not you would like to make this person an ally. However, you know for a fact that if you were to try and take this from them, it would mean a vicious fight.
So, have we had a fun little chat with our buddy the Outsider?
Oh, I don't talk to the Outsider.
Oh,
She's still looking at like the blood while she responds
this
to you.
is something else.
Well, the void is vast and it has many secrets, and I'm only allowed to touch a few of them. She suddenly just turns around and like looks at you. Do you think the Daddy-O's would ever want to do a deal with us?
I think that is an interesting proposition, Grissell.
So you said that she can't be killed, or killing her is stupid, one of those two things, but she's still a mortal woman. And I imagine she still would like to make some money, and that's what we do at our shop. What is she going to do with a whole bunch of whale oil and bones in her ship? But we can sell it for her.
Well, she must have some sort of plan for them, or she wouldn't have them in the first place.
What if we offer her a better deal?
that might work.
I think it is now time that we make an engagement roll. First, we need to discern what approach that we want to take. There are 6 approaches. We can take an assault approach, a deception approach, a stealth approach, an occult approach, a social approach, or a transport approach. So, it sounds like you guys are trying for a social approach, or am I mistaken?
That was my suggestion, yeah.
That would be my pick, yeah.
Does the rest of the crew feel that this is the right approach?
What is a transport approach?
Interesting question.
Carry cargo or people through danger.
So we offer to move it for her or something.
Or you could try to find a means of basically kind of moving past the cargo and kind of trying to make off with it somehow.
We're kind of offering to launder it for her, essentially.
Yeah, which is more of a social thing.
And my end goal would be to be like, if we make good on that and she gets a good cut, and since they're smugglers, we could get a steady supply of bones and who knows what else we could get from beyond the quarantine walls.
So we're going to say that Antha and I are back in the shop.
At this point, I think so.
Yeah.
So what I found out is that Rothwild wants what Lizzie has, possibly quite badly, possibly enough to make whoever sells it to him rich. Lizzie may or may not know that already. If Lizzie knows that, then she knows she has a single stop buyer if they don't hate each other. And I can't remember where they fell out when last I was in that sphere.
Well, if they do hate each other, then it sounds to me like they're in need of a middleman.
Just something to keep in mind for negotiating, that Rothwild is potentially on the table either for us or for her, whichever way it falls.
Or we go back to our core business. Everyone needs elixir these days.
That is true. Although it would be hard to move several hundred pounds of whalebone. Do we have the storage space for that?
Oh, I can find the storage space for that.
We may be restricted to skimming a bit off the top. Especially if the only way that we're getting payday out of this is if Rothwild is paying for handing over most of the haul.
Rothwild doesn't need to know how much might have been lost in the river.
Precisely.
So we could do a deal with both of them, you're saying?
Yeah, double dip.
We can get paid by Rothwild for all of the bones that we can't store, and then we get paid by Stride for all of the bones that we do sell. I like that. Because at the end of the day, I still have stuff to work with.
Then we're taking on the risk of actually storing the material in such hard times. Which is, it can earn us money, but just we'll need to make sure that any singing that happens is quiet enough that it doesn't call down an overseer on our heads. Because I still haven't figured out a good way to figure out what's going on behind those masks of theirs. It's very hard to read them.
It is very hard to read them.
Mostly just want to punch you.
Yes. Always.
So, it seems like it is now time for us to make our engagement roll, and we are taking a very specific approach to this. In honor of the Dishonored flight, we are going to be drawing a card from the Dishonored Tarot deck. I believe if either Antha or Doc Harlow would like to do the honors.
Are we doing the full deck? Are we doing Major Arcana? What section?
Let's do Major Arcana.
Okay. Let me shuffle a little bit more then.
Okay. Okay.
This is exciting.
Go ahead, cut the deck, and take the top card.
This is very silly. What is cutting the deck specifically when you can't actually see what I'm doing? Just cut it in half?
Yeah, cut it in half and then
Okay.
kind of just fold the other half over the other. The boatman, I believe, is what that is.
Samuel Beechworth.
Oh.
Ooh.
boatman.
Yeah. Okay. So the boatman, I think, is a very auspicious sign because you are working with somebody who is more or less a pirate and smuggler on the river. Samuel is a very auspicious card to draw.
Very good at keeping his head down, that man.
Yeah, I won't necessarily call this a critical success, but I will call it a success. You, through your kind of finagling and through, I think, some, I think one of you makes contact with the dead eels. And I think that if one of you wants to go ahead and tell me who it is, we basically can kind of cut to where that we are in the action in that score.
I think it would make sense for it to be me, although I do not have good social skills necessarily. So
Yeah, I was.
But I
gonna
do
say,
have the plot
it seems
connection.
Like Doc is the one who's like linked into the underworld the most.
I can
out of all of
probably
us.
get Lizzie to answer and show up somewhere.
Absolutely. So
Unless this is like, unless we're at the stage where we have multiple people in, because I'm talk guy.
I was gonna say Antha would also be comfortable coming with, if Doc wanted someone to help smooth out the rough edges of Doc's
I'm
enthusiasm.
just setting up the time, I think, and
Wait, are
the
we all
circumstances.
going?
I'm not.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you're I think the initial point contact for sure.
Yeah.
excellent. So the detail then about this is who is your social connection? Who is the one that links you to, or through kind of like word of mouth arranges this this kind of encounter with Lizzie?
Maybe.
Okay. In that case, what we're going to do then is, I think then the last question that we have, and this is pertaining to the score document one more time. The question that I have for you is, what do you know will make this harder? Is it a trap laid by your enemies? Is it a score that furthers the secret, mysterious agenda of someone else in the city? Or is it a rival who also wants the cash?
My
Into-
guts go.
I was gonna say I'm into rival or secret. Like there's some sort of like other hand in all of this.
Yeah, I like both of those as well.
My gut says rival, but
Yeah, just because we're coming in with a not fully established position in the Dunwall underworld at this point.
and this
I think
seems like
we're primed to get under,
something
you know.
that many people would want.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if like the scuttlebutt's going around. Yep. I like
Yeah.
rival.
Rival.
Excellent. So as you guys are waiting to have this meeting, I think all of you have found your way aboard the ship. There is an uneasy tension in the air as all of you are kind of, trying to look as confident and project as much certainty about yourselves as possible, while at the same time you're basically sitting on the mother load, and it's kind of hard to try to kind of put that tension, that nervousness aside. And you see several representatives from other crews probably making their way towards like Lizzie's cabin, many of them being stopped or outright turned away. But you realize and you recognize from the bottle of high proof whiskey on its clipped to his belt, a representative of the Bottle Street gang, fellow by the name of Draker, who looks to, I believe, Doc and the rest of you, and has a steely-eyed look on his face and a grim set to his jaw. And that is where we're going to take our break. So when last we kind of left our crew, you guys had managed to have yourselves a meeting with Lizzie Stride, who through a few bits of hitting the street and kind of gathering information, you realized is the one who is currently holding on to the previously believed lost cache of the Traitor Leviathan, a incredibly large ship that was wrecked off of the shore of the flooded district when the rat plague began. So as you guys are kind of making your way towards Draper's Ward, you've kind of found your way to the deck of Lizzie's ship, the Undine. You are waiting patiently alongside other crews, but the thing that is the most discouraging of these kind of crews that you recognize is a representative from the Bottle Street Gang, among your hated rivals. They are the person that you see standing out from maybe a crew of 3 people. These kind of like pack of emissaries. There is a fellow by the name of Draker, and as like all of the other Bottle Street Gang members, he has a glass of high proof Dunwall whiskey strapped to his belt, and what looks to on one side, on the one closest to his dominant hand, you also see a very nasty looking serrated knife, another kind of essential tool that the Bottle Street Gang might have access to. So it is in this kind of environment that we are going to pick up. Let me go ahead and set the mood with a little bit of music. All right. So it is a few tense minutes pass as each of you awaits your meeting with Lizzie
I mean,
Stride.
I'll tell you this one. Like, as soon as Wick sees the Bottle Street folks, like, he's immediately going to be a huge ass about it.
Oh boy.
Like, he sees this guy walk in and he says, "Oh, well, I didn't realize that everybody in the city was invited here. I thought Lizzie Stride had some taste and discernment."
Yeah, I think at that Draker looks at you and he just says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I missed my invitation to the Boyle party." And he just like,
you?
yeah, he spits at your feet. "Fucking tosser."
See, this is the sort of thing that I'm talking about. Unsanitary, low class.
There are a number of dead eels outside of kind of the captain's quarters who are watching with a little tinge of amusement. They're kind of like looking at you and sizing you up, Wick, just kind of and if you'd like, you can kind of give me a study roll if you want to kind of discern what they're thinking.
Okay, sure. I'll do that. Why the heck not? Cool. So I've got 2 in study. No assistance here, I don't think. I'm not going to push myself for this. Let's see how it goes.
Okay.
A 2 and a 1.
Yeah. You get the sense that, yeah, this is some vintage me over here. I'm just like making a huge point. You get the
People think I'm really cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh boy.
They're into
Oh
this.
gosh.
You're gonna get us killed. That's the end of the stream.
That's the vibe that you very clearly get from this interaction. And I think, as if to kind of like shore this up, Draker is kind of turning to face you and is kind of squaring to you, and that's when another Bottle Street Gang member kind of pulls him back and says, no, not here. What is the...
Dear boy, I think he knows what he's talking about.
And you just see Draker's eyes narrow into slits.
Harlow's not going to interrupt Wick, but she really wants to punch him right now. Just wouldn't look good as like division between the ranks. So she's just watching like, All right, I'm not coming to his aid if this goes badly.
Antha
He
is
gets
just
thrown
going
on
love
the
it
to.
side of
when
the
I
boat.
do
I'm
this
not getting
again.
him out of the water.
This is a great show for everyone.
Antha is just going to quietly like put a hand on Wick's shoulder, just like in a very like bro manner, and just be like, perhaps we can save this conversation when we don't have a ridiculous amount of money waiting under our feet. Very quietly.
Bye.
Vic, I didn't think I was gonna have to teach you politics. I thought you came like pre-equipped with like one political bone in your body.
You think we can do politics with those? Please.
You're gonna have to learn, buddy.
Yeah, I
And
was.
she goes in for the head pat.
Where are we right now? Are we on the ship?
You guys are on the Undine. You are flanked by dead eels, and there is a kind of like the path into the captain's quarters.
I'm
On a
just sitting
boat.
I'm just sitting on the railing watching this. Like if I had food, if I had popcorn in hand, I would just be like,
Harlow's goal right
Fascinating.
now is to basically make it very clear that Wick is in the position of, let's say, a pet, like a very yappy little Pomeranian. Not that Dunwall has Pomeranians, but they're like a mini wolfhound, tiny little wolfhound, with a really blunt nose. It looks really weird, but because this was her world previously, and she is like, we don't actually need a gang war before we all start talking money. We can do that after if needed, but like for now she has to like,
And Wick thinks that sounds like fun.
yeah,
Because
her goal is to
stupid.
make it like clear that she's in charge of this little gang, so that anything that Wick says is not binding, that he's just mouthing off.
Yeah,
amazing.
totally.
Griselle's
Hence head pat.
just on the railing, swinging her feet, watching all of this.
Harlow is doing a great man spread whenever she's sitting right now.
Awesome. So I am going to, is anybody undertaking any action or any kind of like, are you trying to kind of like assess the situation in some way? Or can I go ahead and roll to see which of you meets with Lizzie first?
Roll away.
Go for it.
Yep, go for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Harlow's maybe gets a cigarette out.
Okay.
I'll just
So,
one to Antha.
as
Antha, if Harlow's smoking, Antha's also going to pull out her cigarettes and smoke, but the cigarette that Antha pulls out is the papers of a different color than some of the other cigarettes in that case.
Ooh.
And she just takes a little drag off that and then quietly stubs it out and puts it back in the case. Just one drag.
excellent.
Oh, you got the good stuff.
So I am going to go ahead and roll 3 dice, and I'll tell you if you succeed on this roll, if it is a 6 or even a mixed success, you are going to go first. If you fail, the Bottle Street Gang is going to make their case first, okay? You got a 6. So you guys, the doors
Hell yeah.
open to the captain's quarters, and you see this kind of diminutive looking gang member kind of step out from no crew in particular. Just seems rather anonymous. He kind of sheepishly leaves, and striding out from behind him is Lizzie Stride, who, if you guys are, for those of you who have not met her or seen her anyplace, she is a woman with a very long mane of hair that reaches down to her shoulder, which is very sharply contrasted by the undercut that runs up the opposite side. Undercut's good. Yeah.
I'm having trouble visualizing this. I need like a picture or something in front of me.
Oh, just give me a moment. Let me paint a word picture, David. There is a fine kind of bandana that is tied across her forehead, kind of strapping this and underneath the hair so that it kind of flows over. I think that she is kind of dressed in what appears to be kind of like these cutoff sleeve shirt topped by a black vest along with these kind of tight breeches made straight from, I think probably some manner of whale leather. There we go. Exactly.
The law archives here for everybody.
You see, okay. When you guys are secretly communicating to each other, you gotta make me aware
And
here.
here is another dead eel, just so you can see what her crew looks like.
Excellent. Yeah.
Which is badass.
Yeah. The popped collar is kind of on display here. And as she smiles reflexively, I think that all of you, I think Wick, you are a little bit taken aback by the fact that her teeth are filed down to points that look to be very sharp. And she looks to all of the crews arrayed out in front of her, and she says, "All right, who's next?" And as she kind of scans, I think Grissell, you on the railing kicking your feet, she kind of like makes eye contact. You, whoever you're a part of, come on in. And
somewhere in the background, you can just hear like, "I just died in your arms tonight."
I think her eyes almost like gloss over you, Wick, as you're kind of like putting on this very territorial, superior air with the Bottle Street gang, and all of them look like they give each of you a look that could curdle milk. And Grissell, I think you kind of are. What do you do? How do you react?
Well, I get off the railing and I start heading in, and I think I like turn to the Bottle Street boys and I just sort of like give them a really creepy smile. That's like, and then a wave as I like walk in to like Lizzie Stride's like captain's quarters.
I would get them again.
Jesus.
And I think as all of you kind of file in, there's a murmur of something behind you as the doors begin to close, as kind of pushed by another dead eel. Do any of you do anything prior to entering the cabin?
I think Grissell is in the lead. I sort of lean over her shoulder and say quietly, "Ooh, I think she likes you."
Harlow's just like, "Careful, you two."
And the doors close. And behind a kind of a rough, stained desk in her quarters, Lizzie puts her boots onto it and kind of almost reflexively dusting something off. She looks to each of you and she says, from one to the next, "Welcome aboard the Undine. So, why do I have the pleasure of having you on my boat?"
I say, "Long time no see, Stride."
"Oh, is it Dr. Harlow yet?" And there's kind of like a wink in her smile and in her voice as she takes in the coat.
"Yeah, I'm thinking about opening up a dental practice down in Distillery Row, in case you ever need any touch-ups."
And she kind of reflexively just scuffs something off of the front tooth of hers that's filed down to that serrated edge, and she says, "I just might take you up on that, Ripper."
Huh.
And
Happy to have you.
so, I have some goods. You have some interest in these goods. Why should I give these goods unto you?
Well, we've got experience with maintaining stock that both the Abbey and the Watch might rather we not have. Bone's a little bit hard to keep under wraps these days, I feel like. Not with the Academy not buying it all up all the time.
Yeah, you heard about that, huh?
Firsthand, yeah. That'd be why I'm in the doctoring business now.
So I am going to start an 8 clock.
Oh boy.
What this is you are going to, this clock is going to basically represent the amount of success that you have negotiating with Lizzie Stride. Okay? So plan your tax very carefully here as to how you best want to proceed. Let me just grab the right pen that actually has ink in it. And I'm going to say, from your prior relationship, Doc, that this clock is going to start with one segment already filled. Okay. So, she's kind of like having this interaction with you, Ripper. Tell me, is there kind of like, are you guys gonna undertake a particular approach here? Like what, like, let's go ahead and kind of like see where this goes. What case are you making?
My feeling is to emphasize that we're specialists, essentially, in this very specific kind of contraband. We may not have the biggest crew or the most warehouse space, but benefit of that is we're under the radar at the moment, but we still have the experience required to move whale products on the black market. That seems to be, in my opinion, our best approach on this.
I feel like while you're talking, Grissell like pulls out from from a little satchel on her belt, just a handful of bone charms and just starts laying like one at a time out on the desk as like an example of what exactly she can do
and what we've gotten away with doing.
Mm-hmm. And also she can take one. Yeah,
and she looks to you kind of apprehensively as she moves to take one that seems to be humming with that discrete bit of power. What I would like to do then, as she grabs it, is I would like you to make me an attune roll. So this is, yeah, you.
Oh, me.
This is going to be to represent kind of like the overall quality. Remember to add 2 dice because you guys have the superior quality crew upgrade. So I am going to, so take your attune roll. Her level is 2, I believe.
So 3 dice. Then.
Yeah, absolutely. So roll 3 dice and we'll see basically what kind of impression this makes.
5 and a 6.
Okay.
Oh, and a 2, but yeah.
So on the 6, she reaches forward and she examines.
Oh, no, not that one.
And
no, I'm just kidding. I'm
gonna throw you overboard.
her eyes narrow again, but then she kind of like almost like a jeweler reaches up to look at this bone charm. And I'm gonna say with a 6 that you have marked 3 successful ticks here on the clock. And
that's a particularly good choice, I say as I slide the other ones off the desk back into my satchel.
And she looks at it and she
You
says,
can see we deal in high quality merchandise.
I can see it indeed. What's it do?
The one that you currently have in your hand? Well, let's just say it will make you a faster swimmer.
And she looks at you and there is a smile that played on her lips and she says, I had a feeling I like you. And she tucks it into her belt for safekeeping. All right. Superior quality is evident. But, a lot of people have been making a lot of offers, a lot of coin. Has been talking about trading hands. I'm sure that Slackjaw and his boys have got plenty of resources they can make available to someone like me. Why do you think these things are better? Why should I care?
You want to deal with Slackjaw? Come on. What we're proposing here isn't a little one-off sort of a thing. We're going for a long-term business relationship. And Slackjaw, well, his word might be good, but what are you really gonna get out of him in the long term? He's got his own whole thing going on.
And
You need elixir. We all do, right? We've got it. Homebrewed, good quality, better than any swill you'll get from Slackjaw. I'll tell you that.
Based on Academy research, no less.
And she, like, listening to you, her eyes flick over to Doc Harlow and then flick back to you. She made this.
Oh, yeah.
The doc knows what she's doing.
I would like you to go ahead and give me a persuasion roll. Because I think, or a persuade roll, because it sounds like, and it sounds like you are being assisted by Doc Harlow.
Mm-hmm.
So Doc, go ahead and take 1 stress to make your point, and we'll see how you do.
Cool. So I start with 2 in persuade. I have 1 for an assist. I want more dice.
So
You could always see what the outsider has to say.
Yeah. Do we have like an outsider's bargain here?
yeah, that's actually the question is, so what is the consequence of, like, you can push yourself and you can also take a bargain. What kind of bargain do you think the outsider offers you here?
Here's what I want to propose. I like the idea that if we get away with this, we're maybe a little stuck being the dead eel's elixir supplier.
Mm-hmm. Not only that,
if she agrees that part of this deal is we start flowing elixir in her direction, then she expects us to continue doing that on a permanent basis, and anything that interrupts that is going to get us in trouble.
absolutely. I love that.
I love that.
Okay. So go ahead and add another die to your roll. If you would like, awesome. You can also push yourself. So
I'm at 4. I like that. Let's see how this roll goes.
Okay.
Hey, 2 6s.
Yes.
All right. So I will say this, with a critical success, I say this completes the rest of the clock. You do end up, she makes a kind of this noise of approval as she kind of whistles through the gaps of her serrated teeth. And she says, well, I got to put up appearances. But I think this deal is done. And she spits in her hand and puts it forward.
Okay, see?
To whom?
Yeah,
I thought that was you, Wick, not like I don't want to touch that.
Yeah, I was gonna say she kind of like looks up at you, looks down, like back at her hand, looks back at you.
I'll take it because I don't care about that stuff.
I think the only person who might be disturbed by that is Wick.
Yeah, exactly.
Wick doesn't care for
Maybe
it.
Antha.
And yeah, Grissell, you take her hand.
Not my preferred method of exchange of fluids.
And
Don't tell us about your preferred method of exchange of fluids, Wick.
We're gonna table that for later.
Yeah. At which point,
We
like,
got some whiskey in us.
and Lizzie looks at you and just says, "Yeah, like, yeah, that's not my preferred method. Anyhow, deal it is." And she kind of kicks her feet back off of the desk and moves to open the door. And in kind of this, without kind of skipping a beat, she opens the door, and she, as kind of all of you file down in behind her, you hear her say, "Oh, sorry, better luck next time, guys. I look forward to seeing whatever you offer next time." And
I feel like, sorry, Zach, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, before they leave, I feel like Grissell just sort of turns around and just sort of says in her usual like creepy vibing voice, like, You have lovely serrated fangs. I'd love to see what they look like when they tear somebody's throat out.
Yeah. And then she looks at you and she says, well, I don't mean to disappoint you, but let's just hope it's a while before that happens. And she kind of like also kind of cocks her head a little bit at that, and then ushers in the Bottle Street gang.
No one ever knows when Grissell is flirting.
A+, you did a great job.
Yeah.
Super into you.
Okay.
I need to go ahead and make a quick fortune roll. That's a critical. I don't know. I am rolling so hot. And as
the outsider.
Yeah, exactly. As the door behind you closes, you feel a sudden kind of rumble in the ship. And you kind of like, I think you could ostensibly say that, you do not have your sea legs about you, or rather your river legs about you, or whatever you want to call it. But you kind of are momentarily jostled to one side. As something seems to have rocked the boat.
What was that?
The other dead eels kind of look around, and there is a sudden commotion from what you can ascertain is below decks.
Are all of the Bottle Street boys still there?
They are in the captain's quarters with Lizzie.
Okay.
What do you guys do?
Technically, it's not our ship.
Kinda, yeah.
Doc's gonna go down and take a look because she's been on river smuggling ships when shit's gone down before, and she's keeping her distance a little bit because it's not her ship and she doesn't want to step on toes, but she's making herself available.
Doc, where are you going? Doc!
Do you want to go take a swim? I mean, I'm still happy to throw you over the side later if you still want to.
Sink, I would like to be not on it. That's
how about we keep it from
sort
sinking?
of my preference.
I say we keep it from sinking.
Well, if the boat does
helps the
sink,
business
probably-
relationship.
And Wick exasperately follows you.
Yeah, as you are kind of making your ways below decks, you notice that there are a number of dead eels kind of running around the decks, kind of like through the engine corridors, trying to make sense of what's just happened. I will say this, Doc, I would like you to go ahead and give me an operate roll as you make your way down into the belly of the ship.
See, this seems bad,
Oh,
and
one.
also like
Oh, no.
not our business.
There,
Going flat on my face.
I will say with a 1, you don't necessarily ascertain what the big kind of commotion and hubbub is, but at the same time, you do realize with certainty as your feet step in a little puddle that the ship is taking on water.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, my boots are soggy. I don't like that.
Yes,
ship
another
sinks-
incredibly compelling argument for being on land.
But if the ship sinks, don't we lose all of the whalebone?
Can we really help it from within the ship?
I mean, yes,
I don't
there
know
are steps.
ships.
There are steps you can take on the ship to keep it from sinking. Yes. It would be very silly if there wasn't.
Antha doesn't know ships.
Yeah, what do you guys like? You have this certainty about you that the ship might need attention. What do you do?
Are there other dead eels around that are worried about this current situation?
Yeah, there are tons. At the same time, it's odd because some of them are running around scrambling. Other ones are just kind of standing to one side. Several of them kind of like whispering to each other.
Your ship is leaking, Grissell says to some of the dead eels. Is that bad? Does it do that?
And yeah, I think all of them kind of like one kind of set of them, this kind of tall, reedy, thin dead eel, flanked by a couple of burly kind of engineering types with look like they are at home swinging a wrench, look to you and they just say, "Oh, oi, toss off, jobber. We got this under control."
See, they have it under control, and they sound very confident about it.
Is there a way I can... It's study in place of an insight check, because my brain just went insight check.
Yeah. You may go ahead and give me a study.
A 5.
Okay. There is something, you know, that they're not necessarily, you don't have any like amount of familiarity with these people to like know whether or not they're telling you a lie. But it's like, even in Grissell's kind of understanding of like interpersonal communication, this doesn't seem like something you should be calm about.
I think something's wrong here.
No.
The auras are off.
Yes, the auras.
They are, Wick. I don't know what it is, but I have a bad feeling.
Well, if we're going to figure out what it is, let's do it before we all drown.
Antha goes up to this group that's kind of standing around and not really doing shit, and says, "So how do you think your captain's gonna feel when she finds out you tried to sabotage your boat?"
Ooh. Yeah, I think Antha, why don't you go ahead and give me a persuade roll?
Yeah. That seems fair.
You gonna push yourself on this one, or?
I am gonna push myself on this one. Why not?
All right, take 2 stress.
Okay, so take 2 stress and add 1 die.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that would be, I have 2 points in persuade, so that's 3 dice, right?
Yeah, totally.
Okay. That's a 4.
Okay. On a mixed success, I will say what ends up happening is a couple of them are kind of like look to like probably the burliest guy here, and they just say, "Wakefield, go tell Lizzie." And Edgar Wakefield leaves this group behind and looks to you and says, "See, we're handling it."
Is there anything below decks that Doc can start tinkering with?
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and give me, if you'd like, you can give me a study roll here.
So if we have no dots in something, does that mean we can't check it?
No.
Or is there a
You can, but what you do is you roll 2 dice and you take the lowest result.
lowest one? Okay.
You can also push yourself to give yourself 1 die.
Oh gosh, I'm trying to decide which is actually worse. Like,
What is-
emotionally for me as a player.
Doc, what are you studying?
Just to seeing if there's something that I can start, a machine that I can start tinkering with, like either the bilge pump if it's not on, or if there's something that can be patched that hasn't been patched yet, that is, on tinkering level as opposed to operate level.
Let me ask you this also. Do you have any equipment in your load that might give you a benefit?
I mean, if that's some river crust ooze, that's more of a caustic though than I could break something with that. But I'm not sure I can fix something with that. I got knives.
Just knives. Just knives.
All knives
I
here.
got an unsettlingly large
oops, all
sack,
knives.
but it's not. I guess it's an oiled sack. I have a large expanse of oiled cloth that I could use.
Okay, so because
Can I add something here?
yeah, totally. What are you thinking?
So Antha, I think Antha has a little bit of foresight, and I think Antha will put something in Doc's bag that I'm not sure exactly what it would be. But Antha has definitely slipped Doc a piece of equipment that is going to be really helpful with this.
Awesome. Okay.
That's my spider foresight ability that I can do. So that's basically an assist for free.
Yeah, absolutely. And in this case, Doc, what do you think? What piece of equipment is going to be the most helpful for you here?
So it's going to depend on what the problem is. is there a hole or is there equipment that's malfunctioning?
Well, let's go ahead and make that roll.
Okay, I will push myself on that, I guess.
Yeah, push yourself, take 1 die, and then if you'd like, you can also take 1 for this bit of foresight, as though it's as though it's kind of setting you up to have a success here.
Okay, so that'll give you 2 dice total.
Yeah.
Roll in a larger area just because that helps. It did not. That did not help. That was a 2 and a 1.
Okay. Okay.
So
I will tell you this.
I'm wasting that.
I think that you're still kind of like, I think there's a lot of commotion. Like, I think that you would typically know where to look on something like this, but you are like not, I think it's been a while since you've been
It's not my boat. I can't see it.
Exactly.
I haven't been on a boat in a while. There's a lot of yelling.
I will say this though, that all of the people seem to be coming from one direction. I think that you will not need like a high study roll to understand that.
Okay.
Cool.
Start wading that direction. My boots are getting very wet.
Okay.
Tell me if this is no good. The crew, I mean. In this sort of commotion and Antha's conversation with the dead eel crew, I kind of want Wick to maybe just slip away and prowl his way to the source of the problem unnoticed.
Absolutely. Why don't you go ahead and give me a prowl roll?
Cool. I would like to push myself here, so I'm going to take 2 stress for that.
Okay.
And we'll see how that goes. Stress. All right, so I'm rolling 2.
Okay.
2 and a 4.
Okay.
4.
I will say this, on a mixed success, you are kind of prowling around the belly of the ship, and you see something that you could not mistake, which is you see somebody exit what looks like a kind of a interior chamber of the engine room, who is distinctly not this lean, wiry, dead eel. It is very clearly another Bottle Street boy, because you can tell from the again, the high proof whiskey on his hip. But not only that, with a mixed success, he noticing him.
He knows that you know.
He knows that you know.
So, fuck it. I'm gonna lean into this, and I see that he spots me. I walk right up to him. I put a hand on his chest. I say, "Oh, Carl, wasn't it?
And
you, I don't think are supposed to be here. What an interesting coincidence running into you down here."
The fist flies out to hit you, as it does 1 harm to you. I'm
rolling to resist this.
Excellent.
I want to duck.
I was gonna say, you may roll to resist this as normal.
Great. Cool. What attribute am I resisting with?
I think this is physical. So let me go.
I feel like prowess, because I'm just trying to like duck out of the way of this guy's fist coming at me.
Yeah.
Maneuver.
Absolutely.
Great.
Yeah.
Racking up the stress.
All right.
On day 1.
So I've only got 1 dot in prowess, so we'll see how this goes.
Okay.
Okay, a 4.
Okay, so you only take 2 stress, and you
I'm taking 2 stress to resist that.
You resist the consequence as you deftly duck. I think this is from a lifetime's experience of shit talking like other people and then being able to deftly dodge the consequences. Whether
Master of fuck around and find out.
Yeah. Whether you have fucked around all your life, and
when I'm getting punched, and it's most of the time.
Absolutely, you easily slide out of this guy's way. My question is, what do you do next?
I tell him, now, no need to get violent, and I'm going to, I think, sort of quickly hop back down the hall, and I will call out to the crew. Grissell, Antha, Doc, you might want to see this.
Absolutely. Okay, all of you, seemingly Wick has left you guys to your own devices for a short little bit, only for all of you to hear him yelling out for you to join him. What do all of you do?
Antha goes immediately.
Yeah, I'm probably just down a different hallway, so this will help me, I'm probably already moving in the direction that people were leaving from, which I'm assuming is the same one.
Absolutely. Awesome.
So I'm on the scene pretty immediately.
Is there only one way around, or is there like a loop around?
I think there's definitely a loop around, but it's very tight quarters. So you're just like, you're shouldering through bodies.
Gotcha.
Okay, what do you do? I think at this point, all of you rejoin
I think
Wick in short order. Yeah.
I think what you see is, we have this sort of short corridor, and you see Wick on one side of the corridor. I'm going to have pulled a knife.
Excellent.
So I will mark that off here. So you see Wick on one side of the corridor with a knife up, and this Bottle Street gang member on the other side, probably coming at him. And as you round the corner, Wick says, "Look, I found a friend."
I love
it. Why would a Bottle Street boy be down here? I thought this was the Daddy-O's ship.
And you see the
less talking, more stabbing and punching, please.
I was gonna say, I think that you have managed to surprise this guy. So I am gonna get a 4 o'clock there. And this one's going to be called Raise the Alarm. So basically, if you guys are not able to dispatch this guy, he is going to work towards getting the rest of his buddies. Okay, what is everybody doing as you guys are faced with this member of your rival?
What kind of like room in the ship is this? Is this just like a hallway?
Hallway, very tight quarters. This guy doesn't know his way around. So he seems to be very much in a kind of like a similar situation with you guys. You are both not on your home territory, as it were.
And we're like up to our mid calves in water at this point?
Just to your feet so far.
Okay. Not quite that much then.
So we didn't go over this beforehand. So I've definitely got river crust ooze on me, like in a vial.
Ooh.
No. Oh no, it's like that last episode of Critical Role that
does it work as like a not a grenade really, but a thrown weapon, or do I need to do something separately? I know that as a leech I have I have an alchemist special ability, but I didn't prep anything because I didn't think about it.
Time to become a vitrioleur.
Yeah, I will tell you this. If you would like, you can basically dump the river crust oil on this guy, but you will have to position yourself. We can call it tinker. We can call it, because you're a physiker, you can also kind of like try to like catch this guy and apply it. What do you want to do?
I think I would like to catch this guy and apply it. It's best applied to the eyes, I found, or into the mouth.
Ooh, okay.
So, like, shoe isn't going to do it. Just be like, would you just not have a shoe anymore? But like, that's not disabling.
Okay.
So
in this case, give me a tinker roll to see if you can basically catch this guy off guard.
I am.
So one thing I'm going to ask is that we don't describe this. Is all.
All right. I'm going to push myself just to give myself an extra die here.
Okay.
So I'm up to 5 stress, just so everyone knows.
Cool. Okay.
All right, let's see if I can do something useful here.
Okay.
6 and 2 3s.
Okay.
Oh, God.
All right. This guy gives out a howl of pain as you make contact with him, and very quickly applying it. We are going to spare the detail, but what ends up happening is, for all intents and purposes, this character. This Bottle Street boy is out of commission as he's kind of clutching the ground, kind of howling. And from where...
Good job on not raising the alarm.
Yeah. So I am going to...
Surprisingly effective.
I am
Science.
I am going to tick the clock twice.
Oh no.
But here's what's going to happen is a bunch of dead eels around you also hear the commotion and see a Bottle Street boy in the middle of their deck, but they also see you. So on either end of the corridor are dead eels. On the ground is an incapacitated Bottle Street boy, and you're standing in front of the part of the ship from which he came. What are all of you doing?
He started it.
Yeah,
Duck. That was your opening move?
natural philosophy has many applications.
Remind me to wear goggles next time I insult.
Goggles are very smart.
So I will tell you this. In that case, let us. I will say this. Grissell, you said he started it.
Yeah.
Make me a persuasion roll.
I'm gonna push myself.
Yes, please do. I will tell you this. Is there a devil's bargain we can offer here, or an outsider's bargain rather?
I'm thinking about that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like they
More
will.
Bottle Street boys.
Yeah, I was kind of about to say. I feel like they might believe me, but at the cost of the amount of time it will take to tell them, there will be like a couple more Bottle Street boys coming down in response to the howling.
So
Or
they believe you, but because this is still like a fight breaking out on their ship, they're going to, sort of take us into custody until such time as they can figure out what's going on.
that's also really good.
So I am going to make a little bit of a I'm going to make a little bit of a kind of a recommendation here too. If you would like, if you would not like to persuade them, you can try to magically attune and try to turn their position similar to how you've done with George.
Ooh.
Oh, that spell went so badly last time.
It went great. He loves you.
Is that the outsider's bargain?
That is the you know what? I think that's
or is that just how you would like me to roll for that persuasion?
Well, I will say this: if you would like to attune or if you would like to persuade, you can go either way. That is just kind of like an option I'm giving you.
Damn, that's good. I'd love that to happen accidentally somehow. I just love that it's the sheer adrenaline because I'm also pushing myself.
Mm-hmm.
So you can make the argue that because I pushed myself, it switched to attune in the heat of the moment. And I did bring, as we know, a satchel full of bone charms.
Yeah, so...
which were for display, but they do work.
Okay, so in this case, what I'm going to do is subtract 1 die because they're a higher level than you.
Right.
But you are going to get your attune. You're going to get a devil's bargain. And you can stress yourself as well. So you're going to get 3 net dice.
All right, I'll take it. So that'll be 2 dice that I'm actually rolling then.
No, I think you
it'll
will
be
roll
3.
5.
Yeah.
I think. Wait, hold on. Let me double check this. Yeah, because you're
I
rolling
have 2 and a tune.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm pushing myself 3.
And then you get a devil's bargain. But you get...
Is that adding another dice though, or is that just
push
changing the
yourself
outcome?
And take a devil's bargain.
Thank you. Okay, so 4 dice in total, I believe. Yeah.
I will. Since I was saying the attune was part of the stress, then I'm not going to take the bargain.
Okay, cool.
Stay on the table when I roll, please. 4 and a 6 and a 1.
Okay. All of them follow, like, seeing, like...
Uh-oh.
I think
I did it again.
What did you do?
It was the attune thing.
Yeah, exactly. I think on a success, like, I think with a critical, they would probably have, like, been, will would have... Yeah, they would have been Georgified. But with that lack of that lack of a critical, I think what they do is they kind of turn, and for whatever reason, one of them says, "Oh, this one's got the right of it. Let's find him." And as soon as you say that, the dead eels converge on your position and begin kind of ushering you and themselves into the source of where this kind of commotion is. So
yes, I saw our friend over there come out of here. It seems like that could be important.
And yeah, all of them, like, I think one of them like shoots you a dirty look at the kind of the snideness, but they kind of follow suit with you.
Is this an important room? Is this the ship's important room?
Yeah, they all file suit, and they all kind of follow in, and you see you realize that this is the place where basically kind of like a smuggler's quarters, where they were holding a lot of the kind of the cash, and you see a number of burly Bottle Street boys in the middle of trying to smuggle this thing out of a hole that seems to be have been made in the hull, in which water is leaking as if through as if the hole has been made by thermite of some sort. So there is a rowboat and 2 Bottle Street boys trying to load this cargo in, and a third one on the rowboat looking at all of them.
Okay,
just going,
so the hole is like slightly above the waterline.
Yeah, exactly.
So rude.
That's cheating.
Yeah, what do you guys do as the guys are just like, hurry!
I think you should hurry. You're about to be in trouble.
I think it's even a little too late.
And I just sort of look at the eels like, ta-da!
The eels are definitely better at me than fighting.
Right.
At fighting, so that if, I wouldn't mind if
Yeah.
I pull off
they hurt some people right now that aren't us.
from around my neck, I like unclip a dead wolfhound skull and I just drop it onto the floor. And I go,
like a tiny one, or like
like a puppy one.
Be like
a puppy one.
Oh, I love this. Yeah.
I'm
And
a
big
witch.
necklace. That's a big necklace.
It's like my albatross.
Grissell, describe for everybody what happens when you drop the skull on the floor.
Well, first I go, get him, boy. And to see how effective he is, I will use my special ability, Ritual, which lets me use Study to summon a supernatural effect. I can gain more spells that I can use as Ritual, but right now I come prepackaged with one, which was I can create a Gravehound.
I love it.
And I need to up my Study. Oh, alas, it's only a 3.
Okay.
He's gonna look very cute.
If you would like, I can give you an outsider's bargain.
Oh, do you have one in mind?
Which is that, like, I think that in the heat of the moment, you have a hard time getting this creature under your control, and it will go berserk.
No, I don't like that.
Okay.
He's gonna look cute.
Okay. So
a little a dead wolfhound appears, decaying, a head that's really just a skeleton at this point. It's got a weird yellowish aura over it. But
has Grissell ever done this in front of us before?
Yeah, I think you've met Outsider.
I think we have.
Okay.
Outsider is my tiny little gravehound puppy that is essentially a wolfhound ritual gone wrong, but I love him. He's perfect. He is still in that weird awkward puppy phase where the paws are too big for the rest of he body. Just a floppy mess. Like if he did have skin, you imagine it would be still in that little wrinkly stage where he just hasn't filled it out yet.
Mm-hmm.
But of course the skin is flaking and decaying off of him. So, just keep that in mind.
Have questions.
He's adorable. He's wagging his little bony tail looking up at me.
I will say,
not doing what I asked him to do.
Yeah, I will say this. Basically, Outsider, You drop the skull on the floor. This communion with the void happens. This intense kind of sound and commotion rises up out of this kind of swirling skull, and then it ends up much lower to the ground than when it started flying up. And you have the sense that if it had a tongue and eyes, it would be looking at you cross-eyed with like the tongue lolling out, going. And this gravehound puppy, as soon as you say, sick 'em, outsider, it just kind of like looks back up at you and then tries to pounce on you to lick with its non-existent tongue.
Oh, that didn't go as well as I'd hoped.
Yeah, but everybody, Dead Eel and Bottle Street Boy alike, gets freaked the fuck out.
Yeah, like there's dead silence in this room, and there's like a Bottle Street Boy with like a leg through the hole in the side of the ship, who's just like paused, looking around.
And heresy on the boat. I said don't do heresy on the boat. Too much heresy on the boat.
Too much
heresy on the boat. Small heresy on the boat. Not big.
Abracadabra.
I've already done heresy on the boat. I brought so many bone sharps.
Antha just looks at Grissell. Antha just looks at Grissell with absolute, like, not disgust, but just like exasperation.
Is very cool, but he is very hard to explain. And now we have to explain it to Lizzie Stride.
She strikes me as someone that's going to love the hell out of this dog.
I don't even know if she likes dogs.
Speaking of Lizzie Stride, you guys left her in a room with the Bottle Street Boys.
That's the point.
Yeah.
I mean, she's pretty good handling herself. I'm not like too worried.
Okay, so yeah, what do you guys do? Like, you've witnessed this gravehound. Everybody seems really nonplussed by it.
Well, here's our boy. Everyone resume your gang fight. And Wick kind of goes over to the puppy and like distastefully pats Outsider on the head.
Am I gonna have to do dog noises
on
for
the skull?
Only I am happy to do the dog's noises if you'd prefer. But yeah, basically, I think actually here's a quick question. Is Outsider only friendly to you?
I think at this point Outsider knows the crew.
Yeah, and I think you just hear the crack of vertebra as it turns its head to you, Wick, and just makes this.
Oh yes, good boy. I'm never going to get used to that.
It just makes this unearthly noise. And all of the dead eels and the and Outsider kind of like get piled into this ruckus. Are you guys going to partake in the fight, or are you going to try to patch the hole? Are you going to try to rejoin Lizzie? What do you guys want to do?
Do the eels outnumber the Bottle Street Boys? What's the sort of layout here?
Considerably. There's probably by the time that you guys. I would say it's a very tight quarters, but there's 6 dead eels trying to move past you to get to the 2 Bottle Street Boys rather. But I mean, you're more than welcome to like get a couple stabs in if you want. Whatever you guys like, you can try to patch the hole. What do you guys want to do?
I personally am probably going to stay down here to help assist in patching the hole, although I'm not going to assist in the fight. I mean, I've got like a scalpel, but that's the dead eels are this is their specialty.
Yeah,
I trust them. I want to watch them at work. Mostly, I want to check out like the howling body on the ground later, like to see what the effect was. I'm going to see if I can take care of that. But I do think you guys should all go up and make sure that the other contingent of the dead eels is handling the Lizzie Stride situation.
That's a great idea.
Right.
Antha is also concerned about the Bottle Street Boy in the rowboat who might be puttering away while the fight's going on in the ship.
Okay. Excellent.
Grissell's gonna take Doc's advice and start making her way back the way she came with Puppy Outsider in tow. to go check on Lizzie and the rest of the bottle boys.
Yes, well, it seems like our work here is done. Don't rough them up too bad, boys. I'm kidding. Do the exact opposite of that. And Wick follows Grissell.
Okay, so
I think Antha is actually heading like topside, to see like what the view is from the deck of the boat, and like again see if this Bottle Street boy is just like rowing his way to
I mean,
safety.
somebody's got a pistol and wants to try shooting that guy so he can't row the boat.
that would be a very
You're
good thing to
Welcome
try.
to do that. I don't have my pistol with me.
Okay. In that case, yeah, Antha, if you want to try and like somehow tether the boat, if you want to try to knock out the Bottle Street boy, recover some of the cash, what do you want to do?
Well, so like what do I see when I get up top?
I have an amazing suggestion for a detail. Can I throw this out?
Absolutely. What do you got?
What do I have to do to make there be a whaling harpoon with a rope and a winch and a launcher on the deck of the ship?
Yes, Ahab.
Yes.
All right. I'm going to take 4 dice. That's going to be the fortune roll. If I get a success, it's there. Okay. Middling success. So what I'm going to say is there is a hook. It's not a harpoon. It's a hook with a winch that's meant to kind of tow things. So what you can try to do is see if you can chuck the hook into the boat.
Antha's gonna go for it.
Okay.
What's like, and again, I think you're right, she's chucking. Is this like a maneuver?
Yeah, I would say this is maneuver. This is all finesse. So
Okay.
yeah.
Is it nighttime? Are we doing this meeting at night?
Oh yeah, it's nighttime.
Okay. I'm just checking because there is a Red Haven River Patrol that we should also like keep an eye out for. Probably Lizzie's people have it handled, but it has been a little bit chaotic.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's an officer Manly Hotchkins that we need to be worried about.
Okay.
Excellent.
Manly Hotchkins, according to the Dunwall archives. Yes.
I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
All
I
right.
was looking
All
for
right.
a picture of the Avine, but did not find one.
I'm just looking at my sheet, seeing if I have anything in particular to use that's better than maneuver, and I don't. So I'm gonna push myself to give myself 1 die,
Okay.
and I'm not gonna mutter a prayer, but it's very clear that that's what I'm doing. Is I'm hucking this thing.
Okay.
6.
Nice.
Yes,
All right.
yes.
Yeah. Just as if thrown aloft, like flying through the air, as if through the outsider's grace, if you could call it that, the hook lands in the rowboat. And as you press depress whatever mechanism starts the winch powered by whale oil, you see the disconcerted look cross his face, the face of the rower, as no matter how hard he pumps, the ship begins rowing backwards. And so as he's getting pulled backwards, that's when you see the hands and arms of several dead eels grab him and pull him into the hole in the hull that he made. So congratulations, well done on that Hail Mary. So the next thing I'm gonna say is Doc, you are trying to patch this hole. What are you trying to do?
I mean, do the eels have any, patching material on hand? I assume they have it somewhere in the ship.
Oh, tons. They have like tack. They have all kinds of.
Yeah, I'm just chipping in with whatever effort. I'm not taking the lead or anything. I'm just another set of hands for whatever effort is going on to get this either water bailed out or hole patched, whichever they're focusing on first.
Absolutely. Why don't you go ahead and give me a tinker roll, and we will kind of see how.
See if I'm actually useful in this.
Yeah, absolutely.
5.
Okay. So yeah, I think that you are beginning to assist them. The ship, as you are working, is still taking on water, which is going to make it more difficult for your allies to get up to the captain's quarters, and might affect their role. But it hasn't made the situation worse, and it seems like it will be on its way to be getting fixed. So Wick and Grissell, you guys, along with Outsider, are making your way back to the captain's quarters. So I'm gonna say that you're making your way through like basically ankle-high water. I am going to make a fortune roll to tell me something important. Okay. I want you guys to tell me, like, are you making your way directly? Is there anything that you're doing in between now and then? What happens?
I think I'm beelining it. I want to know if I can hear any commotion that or because if it sounds like all quiet in the office, because right now I think like Grissell wonders if like they're either holding Lizzie like hostage in the office while they continue to do this, or if they're just like stalling.
You hear what sounds like the sounds of quiet moaning and crying near the door, and then you hear Lizzie's voice shouting, "I'm gonna kill each of you! I'm gonna rip your fucking throats out with my teeth! You're gonna be like your buddy on the floor right there!" And
I bust the door open.
I guess your girlfriend wasn't in trouble after all.
I want to help.
It is actually, so this is the thing, as you bust the door open, Lizzie is being held by Draker and the other Bottle Street boy, but one of them seems to be bleeding out from the throat on the floor, and there is, like you kind of were hoping, there is blood coming from dribbling down her lips, and her serrated teeth are very red from as she's yelling out these expletives. What do you do?
Well, this wasn't quite what I had in mind, I say as I take out my cutter, which I do have on me, but I'm not entirely disappointed. And I kind of want to get Draker off of her.
Absolutely. Okay. Wick, what are you doing? Are you assisting?
Yeah. So whatever Grissell does, I'll back her up on this.
Okay. So take one stress. Grissell, you are going to have an extra die to roll.
Amazing. I'd also like to push myself.
Absolutely. So let me double check the factions here. I believe the Bottle Street boys, they're not, I think they're 3, aren't they?
You mean plus or minus or level?
Faction level is, I believe, is 3 in this case. But let me double check. I will consult the Book of Armaments. One moment, guys. So let's see. Dunwall factions. Bottle Street gang's only 2, so you only subtract 1 die from your total.
1 whole dice to do this with.
Excellent.
Because I don't have anything in skirmish.
Well, right. But here...
Oh, no, wait. I'm pushing myself, so that gave me a die. No, yeah, it is 1 dice.
I will tell you this. If you would like, we can also count Outsider as an asset here. So you can add another die.
2 dice.
Okay. See how you do.
A 5 and a 6.
All right. Yeah. So
your girlfriend.
When it matters.
So my question is, do you just start stabbing Cutter, or do you start stabbing Draker with the cutter, or are you trying to pull him off?
Well, I could have swung. It's possible I take his arm off, which I think would definitely be helpful in this situation. So best of both worlds, really.
Yeah, really, what situation doesn't it help? As you kind of swipe the cutter up, you like very, you stick it very neatly through the meat of his arm, and I think hack it almost completely off. He lets go of Lizzie. Begins cradling his arm.
Mark.
Yeah. And Wick, you are kind of, I think Wick.
I want to be like on the other side, and like, as he lets go, I'm just going to sort of shove him away from Lizzie.
Absolutely. And I think, as you're about to say something snide or kind of vindictive, like the blood spray hits you in the face as the cutter gets through the meat of the arm. Like that, it's like Evil Dead levels there, which leaves Lizzie an arm free to do something savage. And let me make a fortune roll for Lizzie.
It's also an arm free.
Yeah. And Lizzie sinks her teeth into the neck of the other guy. Basically, because she rolled a 6. He doesn't die immediately, but he is very much the worse for wear. And as she kind of cleans herself off and looks up at all of you, she looks at you, Grissell and Wick, and says, "So I think it's clear that we already had a deal, but I just wanted to say thank you on top." Anyway, I've got a couple.
Don't suppose our assistant warrants you covering a dry cleaning bill, does it?
And yeah, I think we smash cut on her kind of like cocking her head at you. And we are going to time skip a little bit ahead. We're kind of nearing the end of the episode. There's one thing I want to make sure that I do. So tell me something. You guys have successfully managed this operation. Is there anything that you guys do as you make your way back to Back Alley Charms?
Right.
Hey, wait, sorry, David. Go ahead.
No, that was it. Just gripe.
I ask if that qualifies technically as a first date.
I'm
unclear of the rules of courtship.
Are you asking the crew? Or
I'm asking the crew.
Antha says yes. Yes, to my understanding.
Excellent.
If you want that to be a first date, go for it.
Did I get to take that Ball Street Boy's body with me in my uncomfortably large sack?
Absolutely. I think of with the mess you made of him.
Yes, and Doc got a date too.
Yeah, absolutely. You are carrying this guy back. Whether or not you've kind of bisected his limbs or anything to make him easier to carry, completely up to you. Or if you want to kind of keep a live subject. But I will say this is it is late in the evening, all of you having successfully completed this operation, finally getting a bit of sleep. And I need to change the music really quickly. Bear with me, guys. Okay. This might be a little bit much, but you know what? I like it.
Go for gold.
Go for gold. Okay. So, the camera alights on each of you sleeping in your quarters. Grissell, you pat Outsider's skull in your sleep as you sleep underneath a full moon. Doc, I think that you are asleep at your workbench, trying to study some more of the whale bones that have been kind of meted out to you after having basically the dead eels transport a great deal of the cash into your quarters. I will say that Antha, you are, I think probably from your discipline as an oracular sister, you are probably fast asleep, disciplined in your desire to kind of face the next day. But Wick, you took an outsider's bargain. And
I did.
It is in your restless dreams that you see a number of floating islands as you rise from your bed. And a black-eyed countenance that you have only heard spoken of by some of the less than savory customers to your shop addresses you. This young man with bone-pale skin and black eyes that completely cover the irises. And as he speaks, his voice reverberates not only in your ears, but in your mind. Hello, Maxwell Shamwick. You stand upon the precipice of a new age, snatches of which you have already seen. One that is far more bleak than the brief, decadent summers you spent in Poolwick. In these past few months, the Empire's prosperity and innovation has given way to the rat plague. But that does not concern you, does it? You are driven not by some lofty sense of purpose, but by the singular drive to survive and carve out a piece of this dying city. Your crew of misfits and outcasts will play a small but pivotal role in the tumult to come. It's for this that I have chosen you and drawn you into the void. I am the outsider, and this is my mark. And as you look down at your hand reflexively, it glows with a glyph. It seems to burn from the inside of your hand, the skin turning orange and translucent. There are forces in the world and beyond the world, great forces that men call magic. And now these forces will serve your will. Use this newfound power, my gift to you. Come find me. And that is where we're going to end the first episode of Back Alley Charmers.
Wild!
The worst person possible to get this.
I'm actually so glad.
Did you write down a speech for each of our characters in case, like, any one of us did that?
Yeah, absolutely, I did.
Fuck you, Zach. That's amazing.
Champion, Zach.
It's amazing.
Gold star.
That's incredible.
I want to
So
do
good.
so much research.
Grissell's gonna flip her lid.
So I guess we can't like
Antha's just
vivisect
gonna be
it,
like, well,
but
you're fucked.
Yeah, the worst thing is I wish I could tell you each what the speech was for each of you, but that'd be spoilers. Guys, first off, thank you so much for letting me do this dumb thing, this a fantastic fandom. I am gonna go ahead and stop the music, and we are gonna do shout outs and plugs. So starting in the same order in which we introduced, Caitlin, you have any shout outs or plugs you'd like to do?
nope, pretty much just, oh my God, please pre-order The Death of Jane Lawrence. Those 6 abdominal surgeries are waiting for you. Jane needs your help.
Absolutely. Marcy, any shout outs or plugs?
I'm just gonna do the usual shout outs. First off, thanks everybody for sticking with us. It was a great turnout for the premiere. Super happy to have everybody in the chat and just watching. We will be back next Saturday with the second part. And also, if you want more, I think this is the first flight that we've done that is so apropos into me segueing into this next pitch, which is come watch The Hole in the World. If you love Dishonored, you will be right at home in the world of Saturnine and all of the weirdness that is the Invisible Sun game. We play every other Sunday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. We're not on this Sunday, but come check us out next Sunday. Zach is also DMing that, so it is a fantastic, good time. We're in the middle of our interlude story, The War Report. It's actually a great opportunity to jump in right now, as we're not playing our main crew. So you get to meet some other characters that will pertain to the overall journey of our main characters when we resume the second part of our campaign.
Excellent. And Morgan, any shout outs or plugs?
Not off the top of my head. I just want to again thank everyone for tuning in, and see you all next week.
Excellent.
Holy shit.
And David, finally, any shout outs or plugs?
Yeah, so as Marcy and everybody else have said, tune in next week. I and everybody else will be back here at 3 p.m. next Saturday to continue this flight. I'm excited. I think it's gonna be cool. And you can check out the games that I design over at dbb-8.itch.io. Follow me over there. At some point in the future, this hack that we've been playing of Blaze in the Dark will be up and available to check out. I'm working on some cool stuff there, so you're going to want to, follow along and see what comes of it down the road.
Excellent.
And other than that, just thanks everybody for joining us for the inaugural episode of this flight. It's been a blast.
Yeah, thank you so much also, David, for making this really great hack that makes this game so much more usable and easy for streams. So thank you. And not only that, for my own side, once again, thank you to everybody who tuned in. I am grateful also. Angel Citadel and Krifu said hey in the chat, so shout back to you guys. Thanks so much. I'm really looking forward to continuing this with whatever kind of degree of fuckery we end up coming up with. But in the meantime, guys, just also, the other thing I will say is that we do have a YouTube channel that is now slowly but surely getting more and more of the episodes of Flights of Fandom basically adapted and put onto YouTube and edited in such a way that you guys can get straight into the game rather than kind of sit through our hold screens. So really looking forward to that. The rest of Longshot will be up shortly. We're currently posting the back episodes of The War Report and Hearthward Bound. I can't wait to also post like Hoboken by Night on there, but suffice to say, there's going to be a lot of reasons to kind of catch up on the channel, so definitely do that, whether it's on Twitch or whether it's on our YouTube channel. So guys, in the meantime, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks so much for tuning into Flights of Fandom, and come game with us.